Good morning, LOC family. Let's try that one more time. Good morning, LOC family. Welcome to our Chapel Soul Sessions. In the spirit of the Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, these gatherings remain sacred and scholarly spaces where worship, witness, memory, and communal reflection meet to cultivate intellectual rigor, spiritual grounding, cultural pride, and holistic empowerment. Today we gather not just to reflect, but to respond. Over the past few weeks, we have centered Black women's wellness. We have listened to Black women's witness, and now we arrive at a necessary question. How must we respond in light of what we've heard? Because legacy is not just something we inherit. It is something we are responsible for. Which brings us to today's theme. Living the Legacy Forum 3, Carrying the Charge, Black Women's Health, Collective Responsibility, and the Future We Build. If we are honest, we must acknowledge that Black women's health, especially reproductive and maternal health, continues to reflect some of the deepest iniquities in our society. Not because Black women are deficient, but because the systems meant to support them too often failed them. And yet, even in the face of that reality, Black women continue to lead, to nurture, to organize, and to sustain. Which means this conversation is not just about awareness. It is about accountability. Everyone say accountability. Accountability for institutions, accountability for communities, and yes, accountability for each of us. Before we continue, please take a moment to scan the QR code on the screen to mark your attendance. We will keep the QR code up for about 30 seconds to ensure everyone has enough time to check in properly. And we want to thank the participants that have mentioned this to us. A few reminders. Social media content is primarily for those cleared through Magic 807 Radio. If you do capture or share content, please tag appropriately. Magic 807 Radio is also inviting members of our campus community to share reflections immediately following today's session. Can we get a few volunteers? Don't be scared. All right, I have Miss Ina come ask somebody then. Don't worry about it. These Chapel Soul sessions are not about performance. They are about formation. They are not about conformity. They are about conscience. This campus is sacred ground, a place shaped by people who understood that faith and learning must work together, not only for survival, but for well-being, justice, and dignity. Today's program reflects that truth. We will engage a panel conversation that invites us into honest dialogue about women's health, collective responsibility, and the future we are building together. This is not a moment to sit back. This is a moment to lean in. So take a deep breath, settle your spirit, and prepare your mind.
So today I came actually to burn some bridges. I don't want to be in conversations where people ask me questions that they don't really want the answer to. Don't ask me about African American art and culture in Dallas if you don't want to know about African American art and culture. If you don't want to hear the fact that I'm angry that we have a whole district built on what used to be freedmen's territory, where my ancestors came. They were freed from slavery. They built town, they built houses, they built churches. It was all decimated, and you've got a shiny new arts district, and don't even think we deserve to have any of our artists represented. Don't ask if you don't want to know. I'm going to have some hard conversations with some of my friends, some of my white Anglo friends who I love. Don't ask me how I'm feeling about some of these news stories. I'm angry. I'm angry that I have 3 black sons, and I'm scared half to death that one's about to start driving, and I don't know if he's going to meet just one crazy police officer who has stereotypes running through his head of some gangster rap video that has nothing to do with my children, and I might not have my son the next day. Don't ask if you don't want to know. I'm burning some bridges. I know there'll be some dinner parties after this that I won't be invited to, and that's okay. Don't ask me my nonprofit executive friends, my wonderful liberal friends in nonprofits, how I'm feeling about how you're doing with inclusion, when I have gone to countless workshops where you're talking about racial equity and inclusion, and the leader is always one white woman by herself. You're belying the very thing your workshop's about. But still calling on us for our intellectual capital, because black women do the work. We do the work. We just don't get compensated for the work. Our labor is usually free. And so you want our input, but when it's time to hire somebody or have someone lead, you don't call us. Don't ask me how I feel about that, because I'm burning some bridges today. Don't tell me how inclusive you are when we know that 87% of the CEOs of nonprofits in the United States are white, although most of them serve communities of color. That tells me that you're really comfortable with serving us as a charitable cause, but you don't respect me and want me to be your leader. You don't want me at the table for decision making. I'm burning some bridges today. So when I was planning to speak, I really wanted to have a little musical interlude, but I was ready to go. I queued it up. I said, I'm going to come into Beyonce's I'm Not Sorry. Yeah. I was ready to go. I was ready. I love that song. It's got me through some real hard times. Y'all can say what you want to say, and listen. She says, I'm not sorry. And I thought about my history and our history as black women. I thought about Zora Neale Hurston saying the black woman is the mule of the earth. I thought about Malcolm X saying the black woman is the most disrespected, unprotected woman in the country. I thought about Tazaki Shangi talking about how somebody needs to sing our song, and she has a line in that same play that says, I couldn't stand being colored and sorry at the same time. It's so redundant in the modern world. But I picked up the mantra of my other philosopher, Beyonce Knowles. And I came to declare I'm burning some bridges. You're going to hear what I really, really think. And I might not get asked to do corporate events or come to certain boards or any of that, but I'm going to say what I have to say in the tradition my mother taught me. And I want you to know, I ain't sorry.
Black hue, born from a golden hour, black love, the tide that grew the flower, mood changes the world, shapes the child that grew into a woman. Sunlight strong, sacrifices she made, moving in silence, barely a thank you for all she gave. She smiled, powering through her pain. Black woman, yes, I love you. Black, light, dark, blended, every kind of hue. Soft, strong, a fragile life that keeps the world from ending. Yeah. Your complexity, still a mystery. I
I am you, yes, instantly a wildflower, born a queen, yeah. God gave you a spiritual power, often misunderstood. Hey, you are me, black woman, you did good. Hey, black woman, I love you. Yes, I love you. Ooh, lion, my, love you. Yes, often underestimated, always the greatest. Black woman, yeah, yes, black woman. Yeah. All right.
What's going on, LOC family? How y'all doing? Today I'm gonna do something different. I created a poem for such a moment, and that's what we're about to get into.
Peace and love, LOC family. I want you to know that even though I'm away, I am never too far away from my beloved alma mater, so you should know my heart and my prayers and my commitment always remain right there with each of you. Before we move into today's panel, I want to take a moment and name what has been happening in our midst. In less than a year, these Chapel Soul Sessions have become something meaningful, something formative for so many of you. It is something that is actively shaping the spiritual, intellectual, and cultural life of our campus. People all over the country are watching and rooting for what is happening in these gatherings. We've created a space, a very intentional space, where we worship and have scholastic engagement. It's where difficult conversations are not avoided, but are engaged. This is where Black faith is not assumed, it's explored, expanded, and embodied. You are in a place right now where students, faculty, and staff and administration can gather not just as individuals, but as a community with shared responsibility. You should know this didn't happen by accident. This happened because people have shown up, because people prepare, because people believe that this type of space matters, and it does. And now we are rounding the corner. We have a little over a month left. Next week, we'll conclude our observance of Black Women's History Month, and then we're going to be moving into April 1st. The Soul Session will be on the lawn. No, that is not an April Fool's joke, so you should plan to be there. April 8th, we'll have the Honors Convocation at Metropolitan Baptist Church. April 15th, our final Soul Session in the little theater for the semester, and then on April the 22nd, the installation of the Dean of Chapel. Yes, that's me. And that will be our final Soul Session of the year. There'll be people here from all across the country. And so I want all of us to be present and accounted for. These are not just dates. These are moments of formation and affirmation. So let me say this clearly. These sessions are incomplete and less impact when too many of our members are absent. So look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, your presence matters. Your participation matters. Your engagement matters. Okay, you can stop talking to your neighbor now. And this is not just about attendance, this is about the culture that we are building together. So now today's session is especially important. I hope you felt it already. We are continuing this focus on Black Women's History Month, and we are doing so through a Black woman-led panel. Students and staff who have helped shape, support, and sustain these soul sessions throughout the year. This is not symbolic. This is substantive, because if we're honest, if we're historically honest, we have to acknowledge that Black women have always been at the center of the work. Not just present, but essential. Not just supporting, but sustaining. Not just contributing, but leading. And yet too often their voices are minimized. Their labor is assumed. Y'all remember what I was preaching about a couple weeks ago? Their leadership gets challenged in ways that actually weaken our collective witness. I was reminded of this recently in one of my classes. My sophomore seminar class can testify to this. We had a spirited conversation, and it revealed just how easy it is for gender division to creep into our spaces. So let me be clear. We cannot build strong Black communities while entertaining weak understandings of Black women. We cannot be talking about liberation, but also diminishing those who have carried so much of the struggle. I don't want any of us claiming unity while fueling divisions that distract us from the real work. So today, this panel is not just a conversation, it's a corrective, it's an affirmation, it's an invitation for all of us to listen more carefully and to honor more intentionally, and to create spaces where Black women's voices are not only heard, but they are valued, protected, uplifted, and amplified. And to the sisters who are going to share today, y'all know how I feel about y'all. We thank you, we honor you, and we encourage you to raise your voice. Speak with clarity, speak with confidence, speak with conviction, because what you have to say is not only important, it is necessary. LOC family, I need all of y'all to lean in, don't log off, listen up, and let's continue to live this legacy together. I'll see y'all soon. Grace and peace.
What a joy it is to sit here before you in the presence of living the legacy. I am grateful and most importantly honored to sit here in the absence of our Dean of Chapel, Reverend Dr. Earl J. Fisher. He sends his love, he sends his greetings. And I am excited because each and every last one of these young ladies who sit on this panel have personally shaped my life. I have had encounters with each and every last one of you. And if the stories that they have told me, the life lessons that they have poured into me, and it has helped me grow. So I am excited for you to hear some of the great things that they have to say. Maya Angelou says, I may come as one, but I stand as 10,000. The great Michelle Obama said, when one Black woman wins, it's a win for us all. And it's because of Black women, it's because of strong, resilient women that America continues to push forth. When Big Mama was raising us up and she prayed for us, when she encouraged us, when aunties uplifted us, when mothers poured into us, it was because of Black women that many of us stand here today. I'm excited for you to hear what they have to say, so I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and we'll move a little bit further in our panel discussion.
Hello. Good morning, afternoon, in between. I'm Dr. Harris. I'm the chair of the Division of Education, and I appreciate you all taking your time out to see us and listen to us on this panel.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brittany Morrow. I'm the director of the Technology Innovation and Research Center here at the LeMoyne-Owen College. I frame this conversation as a faith leader, as a mother, as a wife, and a director in the IT space.
Good morning. My name is Chantel Bowen. I am a sophomore here at LeMoyne-Owen. I am going for my bachelor's in criminal justice with a concentration in pre-law, but in the daytime, I am a medical assistant, but I am not giving out any medical advice.
All right. So we're looking at living the legacy, carrying the change. Black women health, the collective responsibility, and the future we build. I got a time to look back at this and study and come up with 3 categories that I think would well help our young people here at LeMoyne. And those 3 categories we're going to discuss today are the barrier and challenges through Black women's health and education, solutions through education, and last, the community responsibility. As I'm looking at, one of the first questions I want to pose to the panel is, growing up as a Black woman in America, growing up as a Black woman in society, what systematic barriers prevent Black women from receiving quality health, education, and health care?
That's a good question. I guess I'll start. There are some systematic issues that have presented in my life, and I think in every Black woman's life in here. I think time, support, access to health care, mental and physical care, accountability. I can't think of one institution that I've been a part of or that I have worked for that is successful that is not built on the backs of Black women. However, most of the institutions that I have worked for have not been intentional about making sure that the care of Black women is at the forefront. So I think that systematically, that is the more global issue, that Black women lead in the institutions and we make up the institutions, and we're making sure that our institutions are successful, whether it's a church, whether it's your family institution, whether it's your classroom, whether it's here at LeMoyne. But there aren't things in place systematically that would allow us to get our health care taken care of, mental and physical care.
Just to piggyback off what she said, I do agree. There are actually studies that show that Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from postpartum complications than white women. And I would like to say that a lot of it is racial bias.
So,
and to continue that conversation, even within the systematic piece, just cultural norms also supports those systematic pieces, because culturally, Black women tend to have this stigma, but in a positive way. It can be seen in a positive way, but in reality, the strong Black woman culturally supports the systematic piece, because we're not supposed to need assistance. We're not supposed to complain. We're not supposed to do all of these things that actually are very helpful to your both mental and physical health. So when you look at the systematic piece, you also have to look at the cultural factor to say we have to remove all of these biases culturally, and then systematically let's see how we can support that individual.
I think you guys know my index cards quite well. That moves me into my second question. Where do these gaps come from? Like you said, we have these stigmas that we've taught, that has been passed down from generation to generation, that you are the backbone of the family, that you are not supposed to be weak, that you are supposed to be strong, that you're supposed to keep pushing on for everybody else. So my question then becomes, why do we have these gaps, and what are some ways that we can improve these gaps so that we can fix some of these systematic errors?
Okay, so like Ms. Brittany said earlier, it does take advocacy. We do have to go to the doctor. Don't wait until you're not feeling well. Go to the doctor to get a yearly checkup. Advocate for yourself. If you get dismissed by your doctor, go seek a second opinion. Never go off just the first thing that someone tells you, especially in the medical field, especially when you know your body and something is off with your body, or even you don't know something is off with your body. Go get your blood drawn, get everything checked out, be an advocate for yourself.
I think we have to remember that Black women are the canary in the coal mine. If you all don't know what that idiom means, when they used to mine back in the day, they would take a canary in a little cage, and if something was happening in the cave, the canary would fall or die, and that's how they would know to get on out of there. So in America, Black women are the canary in the coal mine.
Wow.
Whether it's the workplace, the church, the family, politics, whatever's going on is going to affect us first. And if we are burnt out, chances are you are burnt out. We're always at the forefront. So I think that we just have to get to the place with that in mind, that we need to believe Black women. If Black women says that a policy should be this way, believe Black women. If Black women are saying that this is how a calendar should be structured, believe them. If this is how they're saying this is how I would like to be taught, or this is how this institution should be run, we need to believe them, because we are the canary in the coal mine. And what will support us in this season will also support everyone else. That's what diversity is.
So, with that being said, I want to move on to a different category. I want to move on to solutions through education based off what you said. And Dr. Harris, this is really for you, being an educator, working in the school district, elementary, middle, high, now on the secondary level. Not only have you been a professor under a division chair, you are now a division chair helping oversee a paradigm, the program of study. So my question then becomes to you, how can we better train teachers and staff to recognize and support health and challenges in students, whether it's mental health, physical health? How can we train teachers and staff to just be able to better spot that? Because like she said, if we can catch it early, if we can have advocacy in the classroom from when they're first starting to be enrolled into education, then as they get older, they'll do better. They'll go get checked up on. They'll know what to do. So how do we train effectively on that?
That's a good set of questions, not just one question. But I think it starts with relevance. So being able to integrate into your curriculum relevancy. So if my faculty or myself can only talk about situations that's not relevant to our students based on experiences, how does a student connect? That means they still have to go out and seek additional information, which in itself could be difficult. So ensuring that we're very intentional about incorporating relevant things into our curriculum, because we have the opportunity in higher ed to say, hey, this is what we're going with, but as a teacher, we can slide things in, integrate that, take on places and spaces that those individuals that we produce can have that same thing. So I was not told this, but I heard this very often: do as I say, not as I do. So most of the time, we're gonna do what we see somebody else do. I don't care how many times you say it. If you are modeling it, more than likely, that's what I'm going to do. So to teach our future educators that you can't tell a student to do as I say, not as I do, and then you're doing everything and then expecting that student to not do that exact same thing is very wild. It's very wild. So ensuring that those individuals that we're putting into classrooms understand that you're gonna meet people, whether it's parents or students, from all different walks of life. You are the leader in that room. So as a leader, you have this opportunity and somewhat of an autonomy to a certain extent to integrate the importance of certain things, i.e. mental health, not only in your practice, but your day-to-day walk. So if your students see that you're not taking care of yourself, then what do you expect them to do? Mm-hmm. If your parents see you're not taking care of themselves, because sometimes even as teachers, you're a role model for that parent. You can have, you store and have information, like Brittany said, that's not only valuable to you, but everybody else. And if that parent, that principal, whoever, see that you are great with your kids, see that you have built a relationship, see that you are relevant, then, like Brittany said, most of the time, you gotta listen to them. And that teacher becomes not only a leader in their classroom, but a leader in the school and a leader in their community. So we push making sure that you are competent, compassionate, so that those students that you lead and that family and that school and that community know that when Miss such and such does such and such or say such and such, and she's gonna model it, let's raise our heads, put our shoulders back, and listen. So I think it's very important that material becomes relevant and you are able to integrate it into what you do day to day, including your curriculum.
So, with that being said, and this is for the entire panel now, how do we create safe spaces for open and honest conversation, not only on the college level, but like you said, by the time we get to college, most behaviors have already been adopted and learned. So how do we create these safe conversations in the school system? I remember former Superintendent Ray a couple years ago did this big push on what we call SEL in Shelby County, social emotional learning. And it was big. Every school stopped what they were doing Fridays, and they had to teach SEL. They had to teach social emotional learning. And I think that was a big push for us to be more aware, because by the time they integrated that, I was in 9th grade. And so I remember all the way from 9th to 12th being able to talk about peer pressure and mental health and making smart decisions and who are your friends. So how do we create those safe spaces, not only on the secondary level, but even in the classrooms for our high school students?
I would recommend social groups. So I think that if the students in the secondary will have a ratio to where there's one teacher per 6 students, they'll have a place where they can be heard and where they can actually speak to the safe teacher, so that they can actually say, things that they may not be able to articulate to another adult. And so that safe teacher can then incorporate with that student some type of mental health appointments.
I like that. I have a teenage daughter, so I think that will be something that she could benefit from. As I was thinking about your question, my answer, I think that we right now are in a space where we are over-educating Black women. We are the most educated people in America, and there are several of our institutions, Divine Nine, Links, Jack and Jill, who consistently give healthcare information to our communities. But if we have education and we don't have investment in access, it's just a time filler. So I'm under the impression that systematically, institutionally, personally in our families, we need to move from a place of education to implementation. We don't, I don't need to take another class before I get equitable pay. I don't need to go to another workshop on heart health and, not have work-life balance or, things of that nature. So I would really like to see us be more innovative in how we educate by saying, if I'm going to do a workshop, if I'm going to do a panel, if I'm going to do something, what's the follow-up to that? What's the investment to that as well?
So, moving on to our last category, because you guys have been wonderfully segueing me in. The last category I want to speak about is community partnerships. How do we come together collectively? And that's what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing you saying, the buy-in. Because we can do all the teaching. We can come together and make the wonderful PowerPoints and the Canva assignments. But how do we get buy-in from community partners? What partnerships do you believe the school, church, and organizations can help expand to help us have this buy-in? What do we need to do as a community to get all hands on deck?
Well, I think our location is a perfect example. So we have a school on campus, we have a K-8 school down the street, we have a church next door, and all of these places can be and look like safe spaces for people. So your church, your college, your K-12 setting, all of these spaces can be created as safe spaces, and then as a community, you can come together within these safe spaces to then actually execute a vision. But I think it becomes these entities and organizations having a common goal and then working toward that common goal to where, no one feels like I've been doing all of this and this person gets the recognition. Or, you know, it's taking them too long to do X, Y, and Z. Or like, so it, between Commons Elementary, Hollis F. Price, LeMoyne-Owen, Metropolitan, like you really have a combination of individuals, personnel, places that when you come together and decide what you're going to invest in and implement, like Brittany said, then rolling out a plan that makes sense to then better your community. Because as an institution and an organization, whether people want to believe it or not, you are the steadfast piece for a community. I mean, as an institution in a community, you more than likely want to be there to service that community, to make it better, to incorporate that community in your day-to-day doings, whether it's business, whether it's, like you said, partnership, sponsorship, and you want that community to give back to you as well. So it's a symbiotic, a mutual relationship. So that becomes very important when you think about and consider partnerships. And that in itself, identifying appropriate, relevant partnerships becomes very important in how you're gonna move forward the next day, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next year, the next 12 years. So I think just making sure that what we're doing and how we're doing it is relevant, is appropriate, is timely, and we share that same goal.
Confucius once said, if your goal is a year, plant rice. If your goal is 10 years, plant a tree. But if your goal is a lifetime, educate and mentor the young people.
I think since Dr. Harris took a community approach as what we can do for the external LLC community, I'll take a more granular approach. I've had to be a little bit more intentional within myself, making sure that I'm a girl's girl. And if you're a guy, you can be, a girl's guy. But I think that there are things that we can all do within our own, sphere of influence today in your role to make sure that Black women are supported. For one, are you supporting women-led initiatives? Is it that you only are supporting the initiatives when, a guy is a leader or the man is a leader? Do we give as much support to women's athletics as we do men's athletics? Are we going to all of the probates for the guys, but when the girls come out, we're in a corner looking snooty? We have to be girls. I have committed to not giving feedback to women within meetings. We already get enough of that and enough of tone policing. So if there's anything going on, I'm gonna reach out to you personally, not even via email. I am, committed to making a safe space for myself and for students. I advocate for our female students all the time. I do not believe in play fighting. So whether it's, Hollis F. Price or other students, we don't do that. We have to create safe spaces in how we talk with each other. Don't come into the IT office and sugar baby sweetie pie those who are in that office. You need to use the correct titles, the ones that we have worked for, whether it's Dr., Mrs., Miss, or a first name. There are just so many things that we can do. Are you advocating for those into your department to get pay raises, to get title raises? That means a lot. Are we making processes better on campus? I share with a team member, we were talking and, I said, it is hard leading a team, isn't it? I said, I also have a team of 3 at home. So I say, sometimes I remind my peers that I might do more before 7:30 a.m. when I get here than you've done all day. So, and it's not to put myself on a pedestal, it's just to remind the men in the room and those how you can help to advocate for the women in your space. But again, being a girl's girl means that I have to advocate for myself and advocate for the other women in my space. I'm going to take some time off. I'm not going to always answer calls at 2 a.m. I am going to find ways to reposition the work to appropriate departments or delegate. I'm going to encourage my interns and my students to take meaningful work so that they can help the work. So I think that we just have to figure out in our roles and this far, I'm speaking in this manner because I work here, but we can talk about in our student organizations, we can talk about in our families, what are we doing within those spaces to make sure that we support the women there. You don't have to be a man to support a woman can also support other women.
I just want to add on to what Brittany was saying. Also, ladies, I want to give everybody a simple project. Go home or go to Kroger or Walmart, wherever, get your blood pressure checked. Because we all deal with anxiety. Some of us may have postpartum depression. Some of us may have, panic disorder. And that can increase your blood pressure. And the silent killer is hypertension. So let's get those blood pressures checked just to be on the safe side and go to the doctor.
I'm going to ask one more question, and then we'll open up to probably one or two questions from the floor. The last question I want to ask, and I want to thank you because you have been phenomenal. The last question I want to ask from the panel is, what does carrying the change look like in your everyday life as it pertains to Black women's mental health and education?
For me, I will say, I'm going to tell you to take that day off. I'm going to tell you to, like you all say, like live that soft life. Like, do not feel like you have to be the end all be all for everybody. I'm going to advocate that, hey, like give yourself time to do X, Y, and Z, to learn X, Y, and Z. And I myself, I'm going to allow you to that time to specifically as an individual who manages other individuals. I know there's a learning curve, so I'm not gonna beat you down. And I'm also the type of person that's going to support you where you need, what you need for me to do. Do you need for me to write out an SOP? Do you need for me to very individualized support, because everybody wants and needs are different. So I'm definitely the person that say, hey, just put in your sick time. You got it, use it. Don't who and what are you saving it for?
I think I have a similar response. I think for me, it is not just learning how to say no, but I had to experience and learn how to be okay with when I say no, or when things. I had to be okay with letting things fall apart, sitting like the little dog and saying this is fine when everything's on fire around you. And I had to be okay with coming out on the other side and nobody died, everybody's okay. We still have, something to, work on, family, personal, sorority included. So for me, it's not just learning to say no, but practicing saying no and practicing being okay. You might have to sit with people as the fire happens and y'all just sit together. But, I think we all just need to practice that only true emergencies are, life and death. And a lot of the manufactured emergencies that we are creating are sending Black women to life and death. So learning how to say no, but sitting well with the no.
I heard you say before, and we were talking, lack of preparation on somebody else's side doesn't constitute an emergency on your side. And I agree with you wholeheartedly there, because that's one thing my advisor, Doc, has been trying to get me to understand, because I do 1,000,002 things. She said, Chris, you got to take care of home first. You got to make sure that you're doing right. And those are life lessons that you guys have taught me that I truly, even if you're not a young lady, if you're not a Black woman, as men, we can take those same lessons and grow, because like she said, the foundation is a Black woman. And if we just listen to the game, man, we can be put on. We can be put on. Chantel?
So carrying the torch for me, I say for me it's walking and listening to music. For me, well, I know for a fact that walking can decrease your blood pressure. Walking can ease anxiety. I went through a situation where I had hypertension, and I'm young, so and it has no age. So I would say walking, being very intentional with the things that you do, because if you pay attention, if you give energy towards negativity, that's going to affect your energy negatively.
So I'm hearing Chantel say all y'all getting together every Tuesday to go walking with each other. Okay. I want to open the floor up at this time. We probably don't have time for but probably one or two. But is there anybody who wants to ask a question as it pertains to Black women's mental health, Black women's education, while we have these three well-rounded individuals here with us today?
Okay, as three well-rounded, sophisticated Black women, how would you guys go about like showing us and lecturing us on how to love on each other just the same as you guys love on each other? Because like that is well needed on this campus.
For me, I would create a support group. So I would create a support group and create like a little email and where we can meet once a week or once a month or however much reassurance someone may need. Create a support group so that anybody that needs to be in the support group can feel heard, loved on, and if they need any type of advice, because your mental health, sometimes for some people you just need talk therapy. You just need somebody to talk to. So I will open up a support group.
I think I would take small steps. You all are students first, and community members within that. So I would just find maybe some small ways to build community, making sure that you can be intentional about supporting other girls in your space and creating that level of community. I think that sometimes it can be very shiny to create a new organization, create a new club, but that takes on a life of its own and it creates a lot of work. So think about some of the small things that you all can do. Again, like I always mention, supporting, women-led initiatives. Are you going to the events for a Royal Court? Are you supporting women's athletics? It burns my bridges, and this is no offense because this is across the industry, but there's always girls cheering for the guys, but there's no girls cheering for the girls. Well, if I'm on a cheer team, we're cheering for the girls and we tired. We're not gonna cheer for the guys. Like those are small things, but really those are systematic things because we live in a patriarchal society that we have been taught from very young ages to support guys and not to support one another. So definitely having grace for one another and thinking of 2 or 3 things that you can do to support your, fellow girls. And it doesn't have to be everyone on campus. It could just be the other chapel assistants or something of that nature.
So I always feel or think and say, specifically with my K-12 kids, it's so easy for you to say something negative about somebody. If you use that same thing and gave somebody a compliment, like it could really be as simple as a compliment. Oh, your hair looks nice. Like, where did you get it done? To start a very neutral conversation of common ground. So to just truthfully address that question is that you have to understand if a person actually knows how to support somebody in a positive way. Because if they don't, then what you're expecting from them, they cannot give you, which is frustrating in itself. So, like, simply a compliment, like, so, your teeth look nice. Like, just, it is nothing to give somebody a compliment and start a conversation. Most of the time, people are not gonna be like, oh my God, she weird for complimenting. No, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna say okay, or keep it moving, or regurgitate that compliment, and that in itself builds a very superficial relationship, but it's a positive relationship. And I think that's where we have to move toward a more positive relationship, because we quick to say something negative about somebody. So just reverse that and give a compliment here and there.
One more question. Anybody else? Come on, Ms. French.
It's not a question, but it's more of an add-on to what Ms. Chantel said. And one thing she did mention was about anxiety and walking and getting your blood pressure checked. All those 3 things is something that I struggle with. And what normally helps me with my anxiety or when I'm feeling overwhelmed is I'll go off the track. And I'll feel so much better like walking the track. So please implement that in y'all daily life. If you're overwhelmed or stressed or anxiety, go for a walk. Just breathe in, go for a walk. Listen to the birds chirp. Like it helps a lot.
question is, what are some physical activities that we can do, maybe together or individually, to help with our mental health?
I don't know, but I do know that there is a yoga session hosted by our very own Kimberly Bailey on Friday at 11:30 in Brownlee 31. And I do know, I feel like student activities sometimes does, like, not student activities, but the counseling center will have the care dog here, and they'll also do other activities. So I think making sure that we participate in the activities that happen on campus, but I would like advice as well on some more walking and other things that we could do.
So basically, any type of cardio. So you want like a quick paced, 30-minute walk every day. Breathing exercises helps as well.
So I have a little background in health and wellness, and I will say that finding something individually to do, but as a group of students, you all can push the university for things like intramurals and things that systematically supports you and then everybody that come after you. So when we talk about group walking or things on the individual level, then you move up to those things that are bigger and say, yes, I can do this by myself, but what can I do that's gonna help everybody in the end? So when, again, I think counseling is great, entwined with physically trying to determine what that looks like for you, because everybody's physical level is different. So simply walking, jogging, or just being very intentional about how many steps you're taking a day. How are you moving? Because physical activity is different from exercise. All you have to do is be physical. You don't have to go out there and, wake up at 5:30, go try to bike somewhere or run through South Memphis or none of that stuff. Like, it can be very, very intentional about how it occurs. So, yes, I would definitely challenge you all to push to see what it looks like at a greater level of implementing things that benefit the campus as a whole.
Well, I thank you guys so very much. It has been a privilege and a pleasure. Y'all give it up for them one more time. We thank them. Can you hear me? All right, there we go. I want to say thank you on behalf of the college, on behalf of the student body, because you could have been doing anything in the world, but yet you have took the time out of your day to come sit here to pour into us, to just educate us of just a little bit more on things that we did not know or things we might have needed. The great Dr. William Smith III would say he's hippopotamus happy, elephant elated, and giraffe glad that you did. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I love you, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Now we'll get ready to have Miss Jalinda as she comes around and give our closing remarks. Y'all give it up for her as she come at this time.
Appreciate you, Christian. What's going on, LOC family? Appreciate you. As we prepare to leave this space, we do so with both clarity and charge. Today, we did not simply have a conversation, we were confronted with a reality that calls us to move forward awareness and into responsibility. We named the truth that Black women continue to carry extraordinary weight, and that their health, their well-being, and their dignity must be treated as a collective priority, not an individual burden. We heard voices that challenge us to think more deeply, act more intentionally, and to make seriously the role we each play in shaping the conditions around us. Because carrying the charge means something. It means we do not leave this room unchanged. It means we examine how we show up in our classrooms, in our conversations, in our relationships, and in our responsibilities to one another. We are grateful for every voice that helped shape today's session,
for the insight, for the honesty, and for the courage to name what must be named. And now the question comes, what will we do next? How will we support Black women? Not just in word, but in practice. How will we challenge systems and behaviors that fall short? How will we build a campus and community where Black women not only survive, but truly thrive? And I feel like Black women should not be surviving, they should be living, and they should be loving on each other. And to continue, because the legacy means more than just remembering. It means responding. It means building. It means carrying the charge forward with intention, integrity, and care. Ashe and amen.